The Denver Broncos got a guy that literally every team in the NFL wants, a guy that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen credit with a ton of their NFL success, a guy that Sean Payton wouldn't even let take an Uber ride back to DIA before calling him and offering him the job with some panic in his voice. We, of course, are talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the mullet, Davis Matthew Webb, our key to success, and the reason we are going to be making a deep playoff run this year. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me and the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you like the Broncos, if you would like and subscribe. So Sean Payton is famous for the fact that he has a sense of loyalty, and most of the people who surround him have either played for him or coached for him in the past. And so when he interviewed Davis Webb for our quarterback coach, a lot of folks were like, he doesn't even really have a chance because he didn't have those connections to Sean Payton. Well, Sean Payton did a ton of research and called both Sean McDermott, who had coached Davis Webb, and Eli Manning, who had played with Davis Webb. And before he even got out of the state of Denver, when he was on his car ride back to DIA, he's like, what am I even doing? We have to have this guy here. And so he calls him. So kind of cool. And so what is it about Davis Webb that made him do that? Well, Davis Webb has a long history of being a mentor, just a supercomputer and an amazing human being. He actually was the starting quarterback for Texas Tech when there was a young underclassman who was behind him as a quarterback named Patrick Mahomes. And once Davis Webb actually got injured, that was what gave Patrick Mahomes his chance to play in college football. And obviously Davis Webb never got the job back. He transfers to Cal and just breaks tons of records, throws for almost 5,000 yards when he was at Cal. Just absolutely wild. But even Patrick Mahomes will talk about Davis Webb helped mentor him and become the quarterback that he did there at Texas Tech, and then obviously onto the NFL, and he is the bane of our existence. So he goes from Cal, he plays for the Buffalo Bills. When he was actually in Buffalo, he did so much to help Josh Allen that the Buffalo Bills could not carry three quarterbacks. And so they're like, hey, we're going to have to cut you. But if you decide to retire right now, we will make you our quarterback coach immediately. Sean McDermott credited so much of Josh Allen's growth and his ability to game plan that he's like, hey, we'll give you this job right now. He doesn't do it. He still wants a chance to play in the NFL. And so he goes to the Giants. Even when he was with the Giants, he still had opportunities to play in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles had offered him a position to continue playing in the NFL. He decides to retire specifically because he wanted to play with Coach Sean Payton. So that's incredible. He came out and said, hey, the only opportunity when it comes to coaching that I wanted, and the only reason I was willing to take a step back and not continue to play football and play quarterback was to work and learn with Sean Payton. So that's pretty incredible. And then this offseason, you had a ton of NFL teams offering him a promotion. And since we have the richest owner in sports, we could just make up a brand new position. And so now we give him a coveted offensive assistant. He is in charge of the passing game. He is the offensive pass game coordinator. So you've already seen him rise up the ranks. I think the big question is, how many more of these type of promotions can we do until he's going to just go take a head coaching job somewhere else? I still think we have at least one more up our sleeve. I think Sean Payton could offer him assistant head coach role if he continues to promote, produce like he does. And he absolutely is going to, because this is just in his DNA. It's what he's done his entire life, starting at 6 years old. When he was a 6-year-old, his dad coached high school football for 34 years in Texas, California, which I didn't even know was a place, but sounds like it is. Shout out Texas, California. And starting at 6 years old, he would watch football, and he wouldn't just look at the cool numbers or the colors or the cheerleaders. He would sketch out plays and oh, look at that play, look at that route. And he did that the rest of his life, all during COVID. What he did was took every single game plan that he had ever played as a quarterback, going back to high school, to Cal, to Texas Tech. He scanned in every single play that he has ever run or called and has it in a giant PDF. And he calls himself a hoarder of football plays, incredible. So Sean Payton was so impressed with that he didn't even let him leave the state of Denver or the state of Colorado before he called and offered him a position. And in this, it's not just he's got this head knowledge. He has this ability to take that head knowledge and relate it to people and mentor people. And so when he was the backup quarterback in New York there, each and every Friday night and Saturday morning, he would do mentoring meetings and prep meetings for the starting quarterback. I think this was Danny Dimes at the time with the New York Giants. And he wouldn't just like scout 1 week ahead. It would be 2 weeks ahead that he would give breakdowns to the Giants quarterback saying, hey, here are the defenses we have coming up. Here's how their weaknesses. Here's how we can exploit that. And so you just truly have a super processor, but more than that, like a super communicator. There's a ton of people who could run the analytics, like ChatGPT could run the analytics, but he has an ability to relate actual X's and O's on a screen to people, and we see the results that it has. So Russell Wilson's best year, other than like one of his best 3 years, was under Davis Webb, and we just saw Russell Wilson's last year in Denver before we cut him out. We got the most out of him at this point in his career. You take a look at the jump from under Nathaniel Hackett, who a lot of people said was an offensive genius, right? Like Nathaniel Hackett probably got more out of Russell Wilson than anyone else will, and then Davis Webb took that to a different level. So he had his third best completion percentage of his entire career, even though we know Russell Wilson now doesn't have the athleticism that he had when he was with Seattle early on. So even just the fact that one of his best 3 years was with Davis Webb, you see him throw 4 less interceptions when he was here and, have a much better year, even though he ended up not playing those final 3 games of the Denver Broncos. Then we see like his ability not just to learn it on paper, but to translate it to people. And you see that with Bo Nix, like setting Denver Broncos franchise records as a rookie. Like he had more completions, more wins, more touchdowns than John Elway as a rookie, than Jay Cutler as a rookie, than any rookie quarterback who's ever played for your Denver Broncos. And not just for your Denver Broncos. He had Bo Nix almost setting NFL records for rookies, that Bo Nix threw the second most touchdowns ever for a rookie quarterback. And Bo Nix, who does he credit for that? Obviously, it's Sean Payton gets a huge amount of that credit, but also he gives Davis Webb a ton of that credit. And the fact that, man, the Broncos have not been in the playoffs since 2015, Davis Webb got the most out of Bo Nix possible, and I'm so hyped that we get to do it again this year. And again, the NFL is absolutely noticing. The Athletic put out a piece last year that was the best coaches under 40 years old, and you see a ton of head coaches on here who people are hyped about. You see, obviously, Liam Cohn and Duval, the Jaguars' new head coach. You see the Seattle Seahawks' new head coach. You see, obviously, the new head coach for the Chicago Bears that everyone is hyped on, and you see that Davis Webb's name is on that list. So we will be lucky to keep him as long as we can. And you just see that like everyone who has ever worked with him said that this guy is head coaching material. His offensive coordinator, the guy who recruited him to Cal, who is now with the Baylor Bears, said he will be a head coach in the NFL in no time. And I've been saying that since 2016, since he played for me. So we will be absolutely lucky to have him. He's Sean Payton's favorite dude, and Sean Payton is probably your favorite head coach's favorite dude. So it's incredible to see like Bill Parcells, how he raves about Sean Payton. Bill Parcells says that Sean Payton is an unparalleled game planner, an unparalleled guy when it comes to like drawing up offenses. So it's incredible that Bill Parcells loves Sean Payton, and Sean Payton loves Davis Webb. We remember what Dick Vermeil said about Sean Payton, that like Sean Payton and Andy Reid are the offensive coaches of the decade. And so it's incredible to see, like, we know Sean Payton is elite and he picks elite people under him. And this is just a great time to be a Denver Broncos fan. So I'm wildly hyped for our future because the Broncos have the guy that everyone wants. That is an absolute fact. Shout out to Mason, because this whole idea for this video, as we're waiting for more news to break from the Denver Broncos, came from his idea like, hey, let's break down some of our coaching talent. And the Broncos are so deep when it comes to coaching talent. This is a huge advantage that we have because we have the richest owner in sports, which means you can recruit amazing people to join your organization. Hopefully we can continue to just promote Davis Webb and keep him here as long as possible. Broncos country, our future is so bright, and we have so much to believe in. Oh, Davis Webb is the truth.